Good morning and welcome to our 5th day of live webinars to celebrate National Small Business Week. We want to thank everyone for joining us all week long to learn more about Microsoft and the Office 365 product suite, a little bit about security, about LinkedIn, and about productivity throughout the week. So thank you everyone for joining us. Today we're here to answer your Office 365 questions. At the end, we will be giving away a few more copies of Office 365 Home Edition, so stay tuned for that. The floor is pretty much open, so feel free to take yourself off mute and ask questions or to type in the chat session. If we don't have questions come in, we do have a few things that we can talk about to help everyone learn a little bit more about Office 365 and what's available and encompassed in the solution itself. So we'll get started with that, but go ahead and ask your questions in the chat window or take yourself off mute. So we'll give it a few minutes, and then Matt or Jim, I'll let you jump in. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for coming.
Well, good morning, everyone. As we get started, Jim, why don't we? I know as we've done each day this week, why don't we give some quick introductions? My name is Matt Molnar. I'm with the team here at AdNet Plus, and I've been in the technology industry for around 19 years, and I've had a lot of opportunity to see a lot of changes in technology over that time. And one thing is for sure is that it is constantly changing. But the great thing is in most cases, it's usually changing for the better. And really at the end of the day, we're always looking for that best mix to find how technology can really be impactful in what we do day to day, because all the technology in the world is great, but if it doesn't really make our lives easier, make it better, then we'd really beg the question, is it doing its job? So the great thing is there are a lot of technologies out there that really can impact us in some great ways. So, and we really believe that Office 365 is one of those. I know I use it all day, every day, and I can't imagine doing my daily work without it. So with that, Jim, you want to give a quick introduction?
Oh, sure, absolutely, Matt. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. I agree with you, Matt. I think technology improves as we progress forward with it, and I've never at any point ever seen a major step backwards for us. So I agree with you, and I think Office 365 is no exception to that. Before I talk about that, though, again, let me tell you about myself. My name's Jim Gast, and I'm CEO of SpliceNet Legal Tech here in Cincinnati, Ohio. SpliceNet is a vertical player. We work specifically with law firms. I'd say 80% of our customer base are law firms. The other 20% are kind of spread out amongst other industries. What I've always found, though, with the 20% is, what's great is that law firms have very, very unique needs, and what we found is the technologies and techniques we employ for our law firms work very well for our other businesses because of the intricacies that are involved in them. So that's what the company does. What I do specifically, I speak and write on cybersecurity and Office 365 and cloud technologies in general. And so I'm very excited to be here for Microsoft Community Connections over the period of this week, which is National Small Business Week. So, Matt, I tell you what, I think I'm not seeing any questions come in. So if you want to get right into kind of going down what you may have had in mind, happy to let you do it.
Yeah, so one thing we like to talk about is there are often some common questions that we get asked about Office 365. There's a lot of, in fact, millions and millions of people out there using it, but there's still, many as well that aren't using it yet. And so sometimes there's a little bit of, some questions around what is it? Well, how is it different from the Office that we've purchased, over all these years? So really one of the first questions we get is what is Office 365? And so I know there's probably different ways to answer that. I'll give a few things we talk about, and Jim, I'll let you jump in as well. But one difference with Office 365 is that it's a subscription-based plan for Microsoft Office. So in the past, you would traditionally purchase Microsoft Office and then likely keep it for a number of years, maybe even pass through several versions before you would then decide to go ahead and upgrade and purchase it again. Well, now you can, through a much smaller monthly amount, you can get the newest version of Office and always have the updated, newest features and not have to repurchase it over and over. And it provides several things. One is it provides some simplicity. Especially when looking at email or different things that traditionally had to be managed by local businesses, at their site or by a provider. Now, if you choose to have your email through Microsoft Office 365, all of that's handled by Microsoft. So all of the security updates, the management, everything that would go around, your email servers and things like that is now handled by the team at Microsoft. It also provides accessibility. So now, traditionally we had Office on our desktops, but with Office 365, you can access your Office programs and your Office documents from any computer in the world that can be connected to the internet via the online Office. You can, of course, if you choose the plan, you can get the traditional locally installed applications, but then they also have full working versions for your mobile devices. So I use my iPad a lot every day. So I have Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, OneDrive, and so really no matter what device I'm working on, I have access to all of my applications and documents. It also provides a lot of flexibility. So sometimes businesses change. They grow, maybe they reduce in size somewhat. Well, with the monthly Office 365, you can adjust month to month. So if all of a sudden you need 5 more Office 365 accounts, it's very easy to add those. And same thing, maybe for a month or two or for a while you don't need as many, where you can reduce those as well. So it gives you much more flexibility. And then the last thing I'd like to tell people is that it really is taking collaboration to a whole new level. The whole suite of Office 365, and this is where I think it has a great benefit over some of the other options out there in the market, is that one thing they do really, really well is they tie all of the benefits of the different applications together so that you may be working in a particular application, but it can very seamlessly work with the communication tools or the planning tools and some other applications, and even allow you to work with other people real time on information and documents. And it really just brings this whole idea of working together to a whole different level.
Matt, I actually think that's probably one of the biggest benefits of Office 365. I mean, everybody has a server these days, right? I mean, there's not many businesses today that don't have a server. So, the thing about servers is it really should have been an environment where it could have helped people collaborate. But unfortunately, when you think about a server, you think about, I have to buy something, right? So if I wanted more than just email on my server, if I wanted some other tools, like, for example, Microsoft used to sell Lync, which is the Skype predecessor, right? They used to sell it for a server, and if you wanted to get that so that you could instant message or have video conferences with each other in your office or even in remote offices, you had to buy it, right? So what I think Office 365 has done, Matt, is actually made that collaboration functionality better, because you just don't have to go buy something new. Think about it, right? I mean, they're giving you a suite of server-side applications and client-side applications, PC-side applications, to do the job better than ever before, and you just keep paying that same thing, right? I haven't seen have you seen a price increase in Office 365, Matt?
I haven't, and to your point, what's great is, they do the major quarterly updates. I love logging in after those, and almost always there's some new, sometimes application or definitely features. There's a new benefit, and yet it's still for the same monthly subscription.
Exactly. I mean, it's amazing. You're right. I get so surprised. And they've got a roadmap, and so we can go look at the roadmap if we want to find out what it is. But it's almost like, knowing what's on the Christmas list before you get up on Christmas morning, right? And you're going to get your stuff. But no, you're right. They've come along. Do you have that infographic? Maybe you could show that one slide on how much Office 365 is right now. Do you have it available?
Absolutely. So,
yeah,
I do.
cool.
So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can share my screen.
Did you like that segue? That was a pretty good segue.
That was almost like it planted me in the audience.
Yeah, Matt, you want to start? I would talk about the basics first. Yeah.
Are you able to see my screen?
I got it here, and I'm sure everybody else does too.
Okay, great. So the first thing I'll say is oftentimes when you look at something like this is it can seem really intimidating because there's so many things. But really, it's really not. It's really just broken out into the different products across Office 365, many of which we're already familiar with. So if we start kind of at the top, almost at the 1 o'clock there, we see things that we're familiar with like Mail or Outlook. And then our calendar and our people, the things that we would typically use to communicate on a day-to-day basis. So, of course, those are all included both in online, local, and mobile versions in Office 365. And then kind of on, again, that communication idea, we move down to SharePoint. So, again, SharePoint being something that some people are probably familiar with and some may not be, but a great platform for various things, but especially for companies to have their own intranet, a way to share information across departments and people, even externally, to be able to put some publicly facing content, if you'd like, out there for people to interact with. And then I'll just move down to Skype as well. Skype, and I would say out of all the non-traditional, what I'll call non-traditional Office applications that are on here, this is one of the biggest ones that we see get the greatest impact first when people move to Office 365, because a lot of people haven't used Lync or Skype before. Maybe they had it and just didn't really take advantage of it. Skype brings the whole thing together. It has really changed the way that we communicate in our office, even with some of our customers. It just makes it so easy to quickly get a quick message to someone and chat back and forth, to have a quick audio call, to even have a video call if we'd like, and even to use it within some of the other applications. So, for example, we can be having a call while working together on a document at the same time. Just a really, really different way and a great way to communicate. And Jim, if you want, I'll let you, if you want to kind of keep going around the circle from there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Unfortunately, Matt, we don't really have a legend for this because they're color coded, right? And so it's kind of difficult to really interpret for a lot of people what the color codes are. But as you can see, you've got these blue sections, right? These kind of I would say dull blue sections, right? Where you got OneDrive, Mail, Calendar, People, SharePoint, Tasks, Newsfeed, Delve, Yammer, and Video. These are things that were introduced originally. Would you agree, Matt? Those are some of the first things that were introduced.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are kind of like the building blocks, if you will. And there's Skype, of course, and the Microsoft Office and OneDrive. And so Microsoft came out with these great applications and said, hey, we've got this great Office 365 product. How can we make it better, right? So, and we got a few questions, but I want to finish this real quick. And so they came out with these awesome apps, right? They came out with the Sway. And Matt, you can point them out if you want to. Sway, Planner. These are all things they added, and no price increase. Nothing, nothing new to invest in, right? Sway, Planner, Power BI, Power Apps, Project Online, Dynamics 365. Man, they've really blown that one up. Flow, Stream, and Teams, and there's a few more on here like Bookings. And what was the other one, Matt, that I'm trying to think of off the top of my head? Bookings, and what's the one we like to talk about? It's about the employee scheduling. What's that called?
Oh, it's going to totally escape me. Off the top of my
head.
Anna,
if you can remember it, chime in.
Planner?
What is it? Not Planner. It's about scheduling your staff. Staff Hub.
Oh,
Staff Hub.
It is Staff Hub, yes.
Staff Hub, yeah. So these are powerful tools that you can use in your organization, but things like Staff Hub and Bookings, for example, and a few of the other ones are applications that they've given businesses to use externally too. Like, for example, we're not going to really talk too much about it unless you are, Matt. Bookings is the ability for your customers to see your schedule online and book something with you and then get reminders and alerts on it, okay? Staff Hub is a tool for your staff so you can schedule your staff and they can request time off. So, I don't have a whole lot of presentation on those, but they exemplify what Microsoft is doing with Office 365 and that they're adding new products to it all the time, and there's nothing more for you to go by. And that's not even to mention the improvements that they're making on each of these slices of this puzzle, okay? They're making improvements across the board. So I don't want to avoid our questions, but you want to go ahead, Anna, and tell her what our questions are here? We've got a few questions.
Yeah, we have a few questions that have come in. So the first one is I haven't been on Office 365 very long, but I love it. Is there a way to default how a recipient's access is permitted on a cloud document? Right now I'm finding that once I attach a document, I have to adjust it to show either recipient can view, recipient can edit, or all can edit. So if one of you want to take that, and then we'll get to the other questions.
Matt, I can do that unless you want to do it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, sure. So I'm going to go ahead and show my screen, all right? And give me a second here. Make presenter, and which screen do I want to show today? Hang on a second, guys. I got to show the screen. Okay, sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulty. I want to get the right screen for you guys. There we go, right there. Okay, so tell me when that pops up for everyone.
Yep, looks good.
Awesome. So I'm actually in my screen, not doing some things. So many of you know about Office 365 from the front end using the Office applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and a few others, right? But many people don't know about the back end, the web interface of Office 365, which is incredibly powerful. So if you don't know about it, I'd investigate that and find out. Now, what you're asking, Angela, is how to do something from an administrative perspective. How can I default this, right? Now, you have to have the abilities to default it. Many times over, administrators don't give the ability to do so. So if you're an administrator, it's going to be pretty simple for you. But I would definitely take this to your administrator if you cannot. So in my Office 365, when I go to my Office 365 home, I'm presented with a little bit different interface than most people, okay? Well, actually, this is great. This went to the interface I wanted. So in my Office 365, I'm looking for my administrative section, okay? And I've got this wonderful admin. Yours may look like this, but I've got, or not, but I've got a lot of features that many people don't have as a partner. So if I can't get to my admin here, I may look under the waffle and find admin under here as well. And where's she hiding today? There she is right there. So I'm going to go into my admin section no matter how you do it. Now, I don't want to do, a complete, 300 level class on this, but generally speaking, there are two places in Office 365 where you make these kind of changes, okay? Generally speaking, probably the most popular is under one of the admin centers, okay? So this is how we administer the various products, if you will, within Office 365. Now, I'm going to go to OneDrive, the OneDrive Admin Center. And again, you have to have administrative rights to actually do this. So in here, we're going to talk about sharing, okay? And what we want to do is change. So users can share with, we want to make sure we can share with appropriate people, okay? And then that's a SharePoint level. Now, the funny thing is that OneDrive is built on SharePoint. And so what you should understand is, sadly, okay, that OneDrive's settings must be at least restrictive as your SharePoint. So if SharePoint's really locked down, OneDrive is going to be pretty locked down too. So you notice I've got, some 3 options under my SharePoint, but I've got 2 options on OneDrive. So in order for me to share my documents in an anonymous fashion, I need to change it here, and I'll be able to share documents anonymously in OneDrive, and they won't have to sign in to get the documents. So then, of course, I can send anonymous links, and then I can set these permissions here. So when I send these anonymous links, what can they do? Okay, to documents and to folders. And then I can allow people to actually send it out to other people. I can lock it down by domains, so on and so forth. So, Angela, I want to make sure, does that answer your question? Could you go ahead and chat in there and let me know if some of this answers your question? I'm just going to pop over into my OneDrive and take a quick look at a couple things in the OneDrive for you, too. My OneDrive's very messy. Great. Just be very careful. I want to put Angela says it does and save her lots of time. That's great. I'm glad. Angela, I want you to be very careful because I just changed my security settings on my Office 365 by setting that OneDrive to and that SharePoint. I've now enabled my entire organization and there's other ways to lock it down so that they don't. But without knowing, I may have locked down enabled my entire organization to share everything I've got anonymously. So you must be very careful with these types of changes. Unfortunately, I would just test it out. If you're by yourself or you're with a small group, maybe that's fine for you. If you're in a larger organization, you want to be very careful at making those changes. So any other questions there?
We did. We have a few others. So Matt talked about how you can scale up and scale down or be elastic with the licensing. What if you need just one license? Can you get just one?
So the answer is yes. There's no minimum. So you can literally start with one license and you can grow it into the thousands. That's really even built for enterprises. And beyond that, not only is it flexible with the licenses, but one thing I didn't mention as well is, there are different license types. So depending on your needs with Office 365, some people might only need access to the online versions of Office. Others might want to have the locally installed applications. And so you can actually have different licenses for different people within your organization. So if you have 5 people and only 3 of those people need access to the local applications, they could be on that subscription. And the other 2 people could just then have the subscription that gives them access to the online Office. And you can change and adjust those as often, as frequently as you'd like.
Hey, there's a couple of caveats with that, Matt, because you've got the premium level, the business level, and then you've got the enterprise level, right? So one of the stop points when it comes to licensing for Office 365 is if you're going with the premium level, which is a $12.50 per month per user license, that actually stops at 300 users. So if you need more than 300 users, and a lot of our organizations we deal with aren't going to have that problem, but if you need 301 users, you need to eliminate your business licenses and bump up to your enterprise licenses. So it's easy to add licenses within those bands, and it's very easy to switch. I will say this to everyone, it's easier to go up in licenses sometimes than it is to go down, because when you go up with the licenses, you add features. So for example, the mailbox size in the enterprise license is a lot bigger than the business size mailbox. I think 50 gigs versus 100 gigs. And so if you go into 75 gigs when you're in the enterprise license and then you decide, hey, we're going to save some money as an organization, drop down, you start to run into a little bit of difficulties. And there's ways around it. So do we have anything else, Anna?
There's one other question. Somebody said, I have a home license. Can I use that for my business?
Matt, do you have some insight on the home licensing?
So really the business licensing is meant to be used within a business. And like with many things, is there I don't know that necessarily there's someone out there necessarily like watching or checking to make sure that you're not using a home license for business, but truly the 2 types of licenses are made for those scenarios. So if you're using Office 365 in a business environment, you really should use the business licensing for Office 365. And then again, if you're using Office 365 really just for home use only, for personal, there's even student editions, those should really be used for those scenarios. The products are developed for those particular applications, and that's really how the licensing should be used.
I'd like to actually, Matt, I'm going to go ahead and present my screen if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
And you're completely right, Matt. I completely agree with you on that. You want to make sure. Look, I think if you're working from home, there's no Microsoft licensing police. I don't think Microsoft's going to come bust down your door. But I do think Matt's right. I think we should use those appropriately. So what I wanted to show you, though, is how we could look at the various plans for Office 365. And really what I always do, I still to this day always do this search. I don't know why. Compare, if I'm typing correctly, compare Office 365 plans. Very simple search. And so when I search that, of course, I'm searching it on the wrong site. But when I search that, what I want to show you is that ways you can compare the various plans with Office 365 and what. So I want you to be very conscious of enterprise plans using the enterprise plans versus the small plans. So right now I'm looking at the E plans, which are the enterprise plans, switch over to the business plans. And now I'm looking at the business plans. And of course, under the business, we can look at home too. So it breaks it down for you what you get with those applications. Some things are called applications, other things are called services because they more run on the back end of Office 365 and there's either apps or integrations for them. So I think that's a very useful site when it comes to trying to decide what you want to get when it comes to Office 365. So Anna, we've got just 5 more minutes. Are there any more questions? I could show a couple of things unless Matt wants to show a couple of things.
Those were all the questions we had come in so far. If anybody else has questions, feel free to either take yourself off mute and ask them, or you can type them right in the chat session. The other thing I do want to add is if you are looking at Office 365 and you don't have it for your organization already, it's always good to reach out to somebody to help you with that. You don't get charged anymore by going through a reseller, and the reseller can help you migrate over to Office 365, especially if you're on a different email platform. Sometimes there is an additional cost with that, but you at least have somebody other than just having to call Microsoft Help, which unfortunately is not always the greatest, but you have a local person to deal with who can help be a liaison for you as well.
You bet, you bet. Matt, are you going to show anything?
Actually, I'd just like to add one thing. If a great place for learning, if anyone's ever wanting to look at just even a couple of videos or just a little bit more about Office 365, I love pointing people to support.office.com. And then at the top, there's a training option. And if you go into the training option, there's just a wealth of information about Office 365 itself, about the different products. And again, it's just a great place to start and just begin to explore a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be overwhelming. It absolutely can be overwhelming. Well, we've got 3 minutes. I could show really quick, really cool feature with Office 365, if that's okay, Anna.
Sure, and then I'll wrap it up after that, unless there's any other questions.
So I'm really excited about 2 things in Microsoft Office 365. The first one being Planner, and Anna shares this with me. Is a tool that's used for organization. It's a tool that can help you organize your tasks in a different way than you can do in Microsoft Outlook. And Planner also, with Office 365, all of these applications integrate together. So what I've done is I've created like a little mini project, okay, and they call them plans. And so I'm on the Planner Hub. I've created an Office 365 campaign because I'm running an Office 365 campaign. And then in this campaign, you know, I've just got one with the bucket, but different buckets for different aspects of the actual campaign, and then I add a task as I want to, add a task, and then I can assign a due date to it, and then add a person to it if I should want to. And I went ahead and added that without it, but I could always come back, go into that particular task, and then add somebody to it should I desire. I'm going to go ahead and add Dave, and he's going to be mad at me that I added him. So I just added Dave to that. So, and if I want to add a new section of tasks in this particular campaign, I can do that under a different category by adding a new bucket. But what I want to show you is what happens when I check these, when I do these tasks. I can come in here and say, done. That's pretty straightforward and simple. The way to stay organized. Now, if I'm working with a team of people, or even for myself, I may want to see an overview of how everyone is doing. So that the charts come into for a particular plan, all right? So right here I can see that, you know, Dave's kind of fallen behind. He's late on a few things, and George's got some tasks assigned to him, one task, but he hasn't started them yet. You know, I'm looking at things here, and I haven't started my task, and admittedly, I have not. So if I want to say, what are my tasks? I click on my list of tasks, and here they are, and then I can start getting working on them, or maybe I actually did one of these things, and I can mark it as done. I can drill down and see what Dave's behind on, and it shows me a nice red overdue date. I can also say, show me what Dave's done, so I can look on the completed tasks as well. Plus, I have an overview over here as to what's happened, and again, I can click on them and look at these various categories. Now, this campaign I originally set up for me, but if I wanted to add different people to this campaign or this group of this plan, if you will, I could easily do so in here. And now what will happen is once I'm adding tasks, they will they will actually go to their email and they'll know what they have to do. So I really wanted to kind of get that out there. I know Anna's kind of giving me the buzzer on the backside, so and I know. But Anna, you want to go ahead and wrap us up?
Absolutely. So just want to thank everybody once again for joining us this week for National Small Business Week. We hope that you've enjoyed these live webinars. I know that Office 365, there's a lot of questions around there. It's a big piece of software. One of the other opportunities that we offer, if you're interested, I know some people on the call have already been to these sessions, we offer customer immersion experiences as well. It's a time when Microsoft actually sends us a whole bunch of equipment, hardware, so different Surface Books, Surface tablets that you send to us. We invite people to come in and you can explore Office 365 and Windows 10. The Windows 10 environment is quite the upgrade from 7 and 8. So this is an opportunity. It's a very user-driven experience. If you're interested, if you're up near the Cleveland-Akron area, you would come to AdNet Plus. If you're down closer to the Cincinnati-Dayton area, Jim would be your guy with SpliceNet. We both have certified facilitators. Matt and Jim are both certified by Microsoft facilitators to facilitate these sessions. And so this is something that we offer. If you're involved with a chamber, we actually, through Microsoft, are partnering with chambers, which is how most of you found out about the webinars this week. We can come into the chambers and offer this. It's about a $5,000 cost that we offer to chambers for free. Because Microsoft helps to sponsor it, we're able to offer that to our chambers. So if you're interested, you all should have my contact info. Feel free to reach out to me. If you're closer down to Cincinnati, I can get you in contact with Jim. Other than that, if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and do our giveaways for Office 365 Home Edition. We have 2 winners again today, Angela and Kathy. Angela and Kathy, we will be in contact with you both to get you the copies of those licenses. And I just want to thank everyone again for joining us this week and celebrating small businesses. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out, and have a great, hopefully not completely rainy all weekend. So hopefully the sun will be shining here soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks a lot for coming, guys.